The 26th floor glowed a cold, sterile blue, reflecting off the polished glass walls that framed the endless, twinkling grid of West Houston. It was 3 a.m., and the only sounds in the corporate security room were the dull, rhythmic hum of climate control and the frantic, silent scream of Chloe's student loan notifications popping up on her personal laptop. Chloe, 25, a cynical, overachieving IT security analyst, slammed her fist against the humming server rack, the metal vibrating under her palm.
Read the darkest tales. Like, subscribe, and share if you crave the terror.
The Houston power grid shouldn't run on prayers and 20-year-old coding, but here we are, she muttered. She had a $150,000 education that taught her systems integration, only to be paid just enough to babysit a critical infrastructure running on duct tape and good luck. Her headset crackled. It wasn't static. It was a noise like digital teeth grinding bone. A high-frequency, malevolent whine that bypassed her eardrums and scraped the inside of her skull. Before she could yank the headset off, the array of surveillance monitors went violently crimson. The feeds didn't just fail. They displayed a rapid sequence of grotesque, corrupted human faces, stretched, pixelated, screaming silently in a loop of static agony. Her console shrieked a level 5 breach, protocol, biointegrity failure. Not network intrusion, biological. Her coworker, Ty, swore, the sound raw in the quiet room. Ty was older, pragmatic, and understood the difference between a hack and a violation. He instinctively reached for the small, heavy pistol he kept illegally in his desk drawer, a necessity in a city built on the ruthless exchange of power and wealth. "That's not a hack, Chloe," Ty breathed, his eyes locked on the corrupted faces flickering on the wall. "That's a damn possession." Outside the locked, reinforced door of the server control room, the sound of tearing metal grew deafening. It wasn't the screech of steel, but the sickening, wet rip of copper, plastic, and fiber being violently restructured. Then the window shuddered. A grotesque tangle of shredded, exposed wires, mutated carbon fiber cable sheaths, and still blinking, terrified human eyes slammed against the reinforced glass. It was a chaotic, sparking mass of technology and organic matter, pulsing with stolen energy. Chloe grabbed Ty's arm, her voice hard, cutting through the panic. The sight of the thing confirmed her deepest cynicism. "Forget the system," she ordered. "That thing is the node. It's something built on greed and cheap energy trying to cash us out. We fight it with code, not lead." Part 2. The greed construct the entity. The node was the perfect manifestation of the energy corridor's dark heart, a parasitic form made of the literal infrastructure that powered the city's predatory commerce. It was consuming the corporate security guards, the janitorial staff, and the redundant communication cables, blending flesh and fiber into an ugly, efficient whole. The grinding noise intensified, and the glass began to spiderweb. "It's after the primary fiber trunk," Chloe realized, staring at her own reflection in the crack that was spreading across the monitor. This tower's main value isn't data. It's potential. It's the contracts, the stock prices, the future wealth guaranteed by this control room. It's draining the grid of its power, and it needs the fiber core to transmit its chaos outward. Ty, pistol drawn, focused on the door lock. "I can buy us 5 seconds. 5 seconds for what? We can't shoot an idea," Chloe yelled, turning back to the cold console. She typed furiously. "The node is an organism, but it's fundamentally built on the logic of the network. It has to obey the rules, even the broken ones." She pulled up the schematics for the building's ancient HVAC system, one of the systems running on the forgotten, 20-year-old code she had mocked moments earlier. The code was flawed, unstable, and dangerously simple. The company saved millions by never upgrading this proprietary HVAC logic, Chloe muttered, a sudden, dark smile crossing her face. But that simple, outdated code is a language the node hasn't learned. It only understands the complexity of profit algorithms. Part 3. The legacy code weapon Chloe's plan was a high-stakes, real-world bug exploit. She wasn't going to upload a virus. She was going to feed the node an unsolvable paradox built from its own infrastructure. She began compiling a script using the ancient HVAC system's command line. The goal: force an immediate, massive surge of cold power, refrigerant pumps, compressors, fans, through a single floor's electrical busbar. then immediately trigger a simultaneous thermal fail-safe that required the system to immediately cut all power to the same busbar. This was a classic coding conflict, a race condition where both commands were prioritized level 1, impossible to reconcile, especially by the 20-year-old proprietary logic. The node, meanwhile, was ripping through the internal drywall outside, the sound now a bone-jarring, metallic scream. The eyes embedded in its wires blinked rapidly, reflecting the red emergency lights. Ty slammed the door lock manually, then took aim at a spot on the ceiling that sounded particularly stressed. "I need a countdown, Chloe." 3 minutes, she snapped, the keyboard keys clicking like gunfire. She finished the core script, a tiny, elegant piece of malicious beauty built on corporate negligence. She focused on the transmission point, the floor directly beneath them, the company's main server farm, the heart of the greed. "The node is a predator, Ty," she explained, her voice breathless. "It's absorbing complexity and high-value infrastructure. It will see my HVAC command as a minor network error. It will try to absorb and integrate the code to fix the problem, like a super debugger. The second the creature attempted to process the contradictory level 1 commands, the old, fragile logic of the HVAC system would crash. And when it crashed, it would force an immediate, violent physical shutdown of the floor's core power loop, an actual, physical break in the circuit, not a digital one." Part 4. Hard reboot. 10 seconds, Chloe. "It's tearing the door frame off," Ty yelled, leveling the pistol. "Now," she screamed, slamming the enter key. The server room went silent for half a second, the humming dropping in pitch. Then, a low, electronic groan echoed from the floor beneath them, followed by an explosion of blue light that momentarily blinded them. The node, halfway through tearing off the security door, froze. A high-pitched, digital shriek emanated from its wired body, not the sound of pain, but of logical impossibility. The human eyes in its mass rolled wildly as the ancient code forced the entity to reconcile the simultaneous need to power on for cooling and power off for safety. The logic crashed. Down on the 25th floor, the massive, physical circuit breaker box exploded with a flash of white light, incinerating the wires around it and physically breaking the circuit. The node went limp, its wired body dropping to the floor in a smoking, sparking heat. The human eyes went dark. The grotesque tangle of carbon fiber and copper was now just inert, high-tech trash. The lights in the control room flickered back to normal, cold blue. The surveillance monitors went back to displaying empty hallways and static server racks. Chloe let out a long, shuddering breath. She looked at the smoldering pile of metal and dead flesh outside the door. The corporate ghost vanquished not by a bullet, but by a legacy code exploit. Ty holstered his weapon, his hands still shaking. "So, we just took out half the building's power. What do we tell management?" Chloe stood up, rubbing the exhaustion from her eyes. She looked at the expensive glass surrounding them, a cage of cold luxury that promised wealth and delivered debt. "We tell them what the system told me," she said, pulling up a clean, falsified report. "A catastrophic, unrecoverable hardware failure caused by 20 years of ignored maintenance warnings. The grid's glitch was always just deferred debt coming due." She smiled, a tiny, cynical curve of her lips. She had just saved the world from a techno horror built on greed, and she still had to clock out and face the interest rate on her loans. The real monsters were still running the corporation. "I'm submitting my overtime and a proposal for a complete system upgrade tomorrow," she finished, already planning the next phase of the fight. "And they're going to approve it,"